You are listening to the Postcast, Senators podcast, and of course, the Glebe Central Pub. I'm your host, Brandon Pillar. Another solo cast for Pillsy here. It's just me and everyone in the chat here, but I don't mind doing the solo cast so much when the Sens are dominating like they have been recently, now on a 4-game win streak after a 2-0 victory over the Chicago Blackhawks at home for the good people at the Canadian Tire Center. Now, this was yet another game similar to last night's game up against the Buffalo Sabres, where the Ottawa Senators decide, hey, we're going to start this game off hot. We're going to dominate, and then we'll just hold on for the rest of the way. Now, sure, 2-0, a far cry, different first period than 5-0 up against Buffalo, but you'll take a 2-0 first period when you can shut them down the rest of the game and have that be the final score, even though the Ottawa Senators probably should have scored once, twice, maybe even 3 times on that empty net, but nonetheless, 2-0 gets the job done here. Thank you always, Sens. Appreciate it. Another positive Pillsy postcast. Yeah, it's a vibe cast. We're vibing here. I know the tank makes things confusing, but I said it today. We're going to figure out a way to spin zone this game, no matter what the result is, to be positive. So they get the win. So I'm positive about the win. I'm not looking at the tankathon stats or numbers at all. I'm just vibing with the win. And we are a hashtag goalie friendly show here on the Locked On Senators podcast. And Anton Forsberg, that's a guy that needed to get a win, a good game, and a shutout. He gets all 3 of those things in tonight's game. Sure, not as much action as most games, as he only faces 19 shots, but 100% save percentage. You love to see that. And he's a big part of the reason why the Ottawa Senators were able to snap the curse up against the Chicago Blackhawks. You guys already know I have my own kind of rivalry with the Chicago Blackhawks and the Sens. It's the same rivalry as a hammer and a nail, apparently, because the Chicago Blackhawks have been dominating the Ottawa Senators for a little while. No, not a little while. A long while, as this became kind of a theme on the night that the TSN broadcast was very much in on. And they were saying that it's been so long since the Ottawa Senators beat the Chicago Blackhawks that Mark Mathot was in the lineup for that game. Our good pal Meth, hashtag friend of the show, of course, on the broadcast. So they had a little laugh with him, especially because of the fact that the guy he was traded for, Nick Foligno, is still out there with the Chicago Blackhawks. But the Hawks were 11-0 up against the Sens. That is the first Ottawa Senators win up against the Chicago Blackhawks in, take this in, 2,655 days. I feel like verbal meme, the Simpsons, where they have 0 days since the last accident and then they wipe it off. Well, 2,655 days since the Sens last beat the Hawks. Wipe that off. And you're starting fresh because the Sens get the win on this one. 4 straight wins for the Ottawa Senators. And you love to see that. Yeah, young Zachary, our guy, our Sens fan in Chicago, saying Obama was the president when that last win was happened up against the Chicago Blackhawks for tonight. So it's nice to kind of scratch that history there, because that was a streak no one wanted to see happen here. And hot lunch, Parker Kelly point streak incoming. You'll love to see that. The fourth line was buzzing yet again. Definitely going to have some praise for them as the postcast goes on here. But let's get to how this game started off here, because the Ottawa Senators, clearly something's going on now where Jacques Martin has these guys starting on time. Because, I mean, apart from Zub getting a penalty 9 seconds into the game, that's probably not how Jacques Martin drew it up, but who cares? You're down a man up against the Chicago Blackhawks, a team that does not have a very good power play, and the Ottawa Senators make something out of nothing here. Claude Giroux pressures Jones at the point, gets it to JBD. JBD carries it into the zone, then back to Claude Giroux. But the real move here is, and the vet move by Claude Giroux, is he does the fake clapper. That holds everyone off, and everyone's kind of anticipating a quick shot. Fakes it, holds onto it, and then he's able to beat Mrazek short, or far side rather, just above the pad, off the post and in. And that's a shorthanded goal to give the Ottawa Senators a 1-0 lead. Wow. That's a good way to start off if you're the Ottawa Senators, and especially negate the not negate, but have the power play up against you, not really do damage up against the Ottawa Senators. So 1-0 there from Claude Giroux, shorthanded goal, and it didn't take long for the Ottawa Senators to get going again. And even before they score their second goal, there's a really nice play where Joseph speeds into the zone, gets around Korchinski. He's got a good chance, but he runs out of room and kind of throws it on the net, and it doesn't go where he wants it to. So you're thinking, okay, the Sens are still creating chances here, and it's going to lead to goals eventually, and it does. Mrazek decides to come out and play the puck. He plays it to Connor Bedard, who doesn't have a lot of time or a lot of options, so he's not really sure what to do with it. So he figures, hey, I'll just bank it off the boards and out here. The problem is, it's the old snooker shot where he doesn't get any sort of angle on it, and it just bounces right back out. And you can tell right away Connor Bedard is like, oh man, that screwed that one up. And Parker Kelly gets it. He shoots it on net, and it's our old pal, Nikita Zaitsev. Nikita Zaitsev tries to catch it. It knocks off his glove and goes past Mrazek's glove and in. And Mike Johnson on the broadcast was mentioning, like, if you're Nikita Zaitsev, like, you're trying to get your glove in front of that when you've got a goalie glove right behind it. Mrazek was ready for that when he had it. So Senators fans are all too familiar with Nikita Zaitsev and things like that happening. If Nikita can't get it off the glass and out, usually these other kind of things are happening. And yeah, as Nick Spence says, Zaitsev finally helping the Ottawa Senators. Yeah, thanks for that one, Nikita. So that puts the Ottawa Senators up 2-0, and that's the final goal of the game. So thanks, guys. Have a good night. It's been a good postcast. Sens win 2-0. I'm just messing with you guys. We are going to get into this game more, have Sen Central standouts, but that's it. 2-0. That's all the Senators need to close this one out. And Anton Forsberg, that's his second shutout of the season. As I mentioned, 19 shots, 19 saves. Math guy, 100% save percentage. Boom. Goalie-friendly show. Anton Forsberg needed that one badly. And that brings into the next discussion here is Anton Forsberg, I think, is going to be the guy that gets the fire helmet tonight. The Sens threw a kind of a curveball at me. I think all of us, myself included, thought Shane Pinto was going to get the fire helmet last night. First career 4-point game. You think that's usually worthy of it. But Drake Batherson, smart move, says Boris Tkachuk, first goal as an Ottawa Senator, he gets the helmet. So Boris Tkachuk has the helmet right now. I'm saying he gives it to Forsey. Forsberg is a guy that has been struggling lately, struggling so much that the coach decided to go to Korpisalo in back-to-back games for the first time this season, saying Forsberg, it just didn't seem like he was in the right spot to start. So Forsberg gets the second half of a back-to-back this time and up against the Chicago Blackhawks. So that's a soft landing spot to try to get your confidence back, and he has a perfect game. So I think they're going to give it to Forsey here. That's a guy that could use some boost from the boys. If you guys are looking for a boost on your night out on the town in the nation's capital, maybe you find yourself in the heart of the Glebe. Well, if you do, you got to go to the Glebe Central Pub. The Glebe Central Pub is the official sponsor of the Locked On Senators podcast, Postcast, and we love the GCP, located at 779 Bank Street. The vibes are free at the GCP. In this economy, free vibes? Yes, you can find that at 779 Bank Street. As Ross has coined the terms, the vibes are free at the GCP. If you guys want to be a part of the Sens fans that are hanging out at the GCP and then going to the game, you can do that by heading to Glebe Central Pub website. go check out the Send Shuttle tab. It'll tell you all the remaining games the Send Shuttle will be going to the games. Sue, the bus driver, will pick you up at the bar, bring you to the game. Don't need to worry about getting an Uber. Leave the car keys at home. Have a couple pops at the game. Have a good time. Get vibing. And then get back in the parking lot, back on the bus. And Sue brings you right back to the GCP to keep the good times going. So check it out at 779 Bank Street, the Glebe Central Pub in the heart of the Glebe. The vibes are free. Hot lunch at the GCP. Check it out today, guys, at the Glebe Central Pub. Also, this episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Say goodbye to busted brackets because FanDuel lets you bet on every single game of March Madness. Whether you're betting on a big upset, you're betting on the favorites, the one seeds to go all the way, it's time to go dancing on America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to use on point spreads, money lines. You can even pick who's going to win it all with a future bet. Or if you're not a March Madness guy, why not dabble in some Ottawa Senators bets as they're in a 4-game win streak? Maybe you can catch them with some good odds up against teams. And hey, get it while it's hot for the Ottawa Senators. And it's always seemingly hot at the end of the season when the games mean nothing. But I digress. Just go to fanduel.com/lockedon and bet on college hoops and everything else to your heart's content. Check it out today, guys. FanDuel. All right, so the Ottawa Senators, a 2-0 victory over the Chicago Blackhawks to make it 4 straight wins. Their classic March hot streak here. Guys, I want to, obviously this is Positive Pillsy, obviously this is a vibecast, but we have to stay strong and not let this classic hot March lead us into the old trap. Oh, this team, they're going to carry this momentum into training camp next year, and they're going to start off so hot, and they're not going to be mathematically eliminated from the playoffs in November. We got to slow the hype train down. We're going to enjoy these victories. I'm enjoying this one, but all I'm saying is we all have to help each other not fall into the trap that the final games, when it's meaningless and the Sens string together some impressive streaks, it's not necessarily going to mean anything when it comes to next season. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm going to say. But look, there are a couple players here tonight that do deserve some shout outs. So I think it's perfect timing to do the Sens Central Standouts presented by the Glebe Central Pub. And thank you to our friends over at Ottawa Fire for gifting me, Ross, and Martian with their own custom fire helmets, as you guys can see here. Pillsy right there, so you'll love to see that. The custom fire helmet from the Ottawa Fire Department, and these are the real deal. As you guys know, these are heavy duty. There's not props, and it gives us more respect for what those guys do. Shout out to Ottawa Fire Service. Boom. Visor down. Let's go. The Ottawa Senators with the 2-0 victory. So you guys know, goalie-friendly show. Anytime there's a shutout involved, we got to give the goalies the credit they deserve. And Anton Forsberg stops all 19 shots. Now, was there really a lot of highlight reel saves that he had to make? Was he constantly hit with a flurry of pucks and had to make massive, timely saves? No, maybe not. But hey, you can only stop what you're given here. Anton Forsberg, he keeps this game the clean sheet, no goals up against him. And this is especially impressive for Forsberg because I feel like the Ottawa Senators goalies, Korpisalo and Forsberg, and I've mentioned this a couple times, and you guys let me know in the chat if you agree or think I'm out to lunch here. But the Sens goalies, for most of the season, seem to struggle when they don't get a lot of consistent shots. Like when the Sens would dominate for a period and then the opponents would get like one quick shot, those ones always seem to be the ones that squeak through, that beat them. And Forsberg and Korpisalo are goalies that are kind of used to getting a lot of shots. So maybe they're the kind of guys that they need to get in the groove. They need to feel the puck to feel like they're in the zone. So I thought maybe this might be a game that Forsberg struggles just because he's not getting as many shots as he's used to. but he was strong. So I want to make sure he gets the shout out he deserves. Anton Forsberg is my first Send Central standout. Second Send Central standout. Look, I've done this before. I did it last game, and I'm doing it again. I am giving a Send Central standout to the entire fourth line for a back-to-back game. And yes, hot lunch. I'll start it off with giving a shout out to Parker Kelly first and foremost. He scores a goal in this game. He finishes with a +2 rating, 11:46 time on ice, 100% in the dot. And Parker Kelly, this is the kind of guy that just puts on the hard hat, brings the lunch pail, and gets to work. And he gets hit in the face with the puck. Obviously hit him right in the nose. He's clearly in pain, goes off to the bench, goes to the room, gets some work done, and he's right back out there. That guy's an absolute warrior. And you heard Mike Johnson say that Kelly told him, luckily, it just hit me in the nose, didn't hit me in the teeth. That's always a blessing. If you get hit in the face, you don't want it to knock out a couple chiclets and have the dental work done. So I'm sure, obviously, you don't want to get hit in the puck in the face with the puck in the nose either, but at least he saves his teeth there. So you got to love that for Parker Kelly. And then, look, I thought Kastelic and Kachuk had great games again. They had scoring chances. Casty had that one chance where he drove to the net, and then Parker Kelly did a good job poking it out of Mrazek's glove and then gets it to Kachuk for a good shot out front. And this is another time where the fourth line is getting in the good graces of the Ottawa Senators coaching staff. All three players on the fourth line over 10 minutes of ice time. We don't see that very often from those three. So that's what I want to see from a fourth line. You can't ask them to do much more, and that was great. Another good performance for the fourth line. So the whole line gets a Send Central standout from me here tonight. And then my third and final, I'll do three here. Third and final Send Central standout. I'm going to go number 43, Tyler Kleven. He's called up. Tom Chabot, we're still not really sure what the severity of his injury is, but obviously Chabot could play today. So they call Kleven up, and he was my locked on player in today's episode of the Locked On Senators podcast because I want to see what he's going to do. It's been quite a while since he was sent down to Belleville. I mean, his last game in the NHL was November 9th. So he's been in Belleville ever since, and he gets called up, and I thought he had a real nice game. There was flashes where I really noticed him. I feel like before he kind of went unnoticed in his time in the NHL, but he plays over 14 minutes tonight, and he got a really good shot opportunity. But what I wanted to highlight more about Tyler Kleven, and this comment says it right here, he looks so much more confident, aware, and physical. We wanted to see the K-Train get physical, and he absolutely destroyed Reichel along the boards there. Reichel's like, okay, I got a young defenseman here. I'll just speed my way around this big man. And Kleven says, don't try that garbage on me, and just crunches him up against the boards. And you can even see Reichel after he kind of like gets a number. He's like, damn, like that guy got me good. So yeah, as Spiegler says, he erased him from that play. And then there was moments later where he gets set up with a nice shot, and he gets a lot on that. So Tyler Kleven, I really thought deserved a Send Central standout as well. So the Ottawa Senators with the 2-0 win, I'll say Forsberg first star, the entire fourth line second star, and then Tyler Kleven the third star. Similar to what the broadcast had. The broadcast TSN had Forsberg, Kelly, and then Sanderson. So I will give a honorable mention to Jake Sanderson. And you love TSN broadcast because they actually break down the game, and they were breaking down our guy, Meth Dog, hashtag friend of the show, was breaking down Sanderson's skating, just how incredible it is. And that's the thing with Jake Sanderson. People that aren't Sens fans might look at the point totals, maybe like, I never really see like highlights from him on Sports Center, or like you never see like viral clips of Sanderson trending. Well, that's because Sanderson just compiles an elite mixtape of just quick, smart plays that are created through his skating. Now, those generally don't get blown up, but when you're doing it over and over and over and over and over again while consistently playing like 23 minutes a night and being on the top shutdown pair with our guy Artem Zub and shutting down the other team's best players on a night in, night out basis, That's pretty damn impressive. So Jake Sanderson has just been so consistent this year. No sophomore slump for Jake Sanderson. So I wanted to give him an honorable mention here. All right, everyone in the chat, let me know if you guys have other suggestions, other options that you think might get the Fire helmet. I'm really convinced it's going to be Anton Forsberg here, but you never know if they throw us a curveball, if there's a guy in the room that deserves it. Maybe Parker Kelly, I feel like, could get it too. He gets a goal here, gets hit in the face with the puck. I feel like the boys are going to give him a little bit of kudos for getting back in this game. I know we had one comment on Twitter. I want to find it here. Timmy Superstar asks if 71, 81, and 59 were benched in the third. Didn't see a lot of them late in the game. I did look up on the time on ice report. So Ridley Gregg's last shift is with 8:23 left in the game. Dominic Kubalik, 8:23 left in the game. And then Crooker, 11:50 left in the game. So you're onto something there, Timmy Superstar. I think that obviously the coaching staff didn't really see that they were clicking that night, and guys like the fourth line, they were doing a lot better. I thought Pinto, Brady, and Batherson, they had a good night as well. So maybe that's the reason. I wouldn't necessarily say that Crooker and Ridley were bad tonight. Leaving Kubalik out of that scenario, not sure what that guy brings on a night-to-night basis, but that's just Dominic Kubalik. Yeah, Nick Spence. Kubalik drags the other two down so hard. Yeah, that's tough, especially if you're really Gregg moving back to center and he's one of your wingers and he doesn't really help you out a lot. That's unfortunate. Hot Lunch asks, Sandy on Team USA at the Four Nations Cup. I believe it's called the Four Nation Face-Off. I don't see how he doesn't make it. Again, I'm not sure who the US GM is. I'm pretty sure Canada's GM is Doug Armstrong from St. Louis Blues. I'm not sure who the US guy is, so that might change my answer. But I feel like I would be shocked if he's not on there. Like that's a guy that you want representing your team if you're looking to build from the back end out, especially good skaters. So yeah, and there's a lot of American guys that could make a really solid team for that Four Nations Cup. So definitely, I would hope that Sandy is a part of that. All right, where do we go from here, guys? 2-0 Ottawa Senators victory. Guys, let me know in the chat if you have questions, if you guys want to get some discussions going. There's not a lot else to cover from this game, in my opinion. The Senators hitting the post twice on the empty net was kind of wild. Joseph, Drew, and Timmy were doing everything to not be selfish and put it in the puck themselves. So they hand it over to Joseph. He's got a decent chance, a little bit of pressure on him, so he quickly shoots it, hits it off the post. And then Batherson, all the way from the own end of his ice with the dying seconds on the clock, hits the post. And there's only like a second left after it hits the post, which is so fortunate because Pinto's right there. Pinto would have buried that one, absolutely. Maybe even done a clapper into the empty net there. Nick Spence says, hype level for back-to-back boots on the ground. I'm fired up for this. I'm heading to Winnipeg on Saturday. Going to watch them play in Winnipeg. And then Ross and I are hitting the road. We're going to Minnesota to watch the Sens play the Wild at the XL Center. We're fired up. As you guys know, Ross and I have a 12-0-1 record when we attend games together. The only loss was Chris Neal retirement night. There we go. I've got the banner hanging up in my studio. You guys can see if you're watching on YouTube. The only loss was Chicago in overtime there. And I'm so glad this curse of not being able to beat Chicago is squashed. 655 days since their last win before this. So you love to see that squash. 11 straight wins for the Blackhawks. No more. The Ottawa Senators hit reset on the clock on that one. And hopefully, we won't see any more of that. We exorcise the demons that are the Chicago Blackhawks. All right, time to switch it out from one helmet to the next. Thank you, everyone, for being here. 126 people in the chat, back-to-back games. I'm starting to get a little bit of a groove for the solo postcast. Again, I love chalking the game up with my guys, the Leams Martian and Ross. Martian got the flu, Ross on vacation. So That's why they're not here tonight, but I don't mind riding. I'll grind. I'll be the entire fourth line if I have to, getting in on the forecheck, everything like that. Kyle Lane says, Pilsy, the amount of Chicago jerseys tonight was too much. And you could tell from even on the broadcast, Kyle, they were mentioning it, that the amount of Chicago Blackhawks fans in the 100 level at warmups when Bedard was there, the Bedard signs were wild. He's a superstar. Like, you can't really blame him. And if you're a Chicago fan at all, that's the only reason pretty much you're watching this game. So I don't blame them, but I'm with Kyle. We get enough of it with Montreal and Toronto. We don't want Chicago storming the CTC either, although hopefully it was a beat the traffic type moment. Thanks for coming out, Chicago fans. McNorth asks, are you driving to Winnipeg, Pilsy? This time I'm not driving. Usually I'm a big road trip guy. I always drive to Ottawa. I've done the entire trip from Toronto to British Columbia and back, I think 3-4 times. I've done it a lot. So I do love Canadian road trips. And sneaky, the trip all the way to BC driving, Northern Ontario is some of my favorite spots of the drive. The scenery is absolutely beautiful. There's no towns. Like, you got to make sure you fill up gas in Wawa, otherwise you're going to be stranded on the side of the road. But it's a really nice drive. So if people haven't done that, I would do that. I just don't have the time to make it there if I'm going to drive. So I'm hopping on a jet to go see the Sens play the Jets. And then Ross and I are driving from Winnipeg down to Minnesota, though. We're going to take a stop at North Dakota. I never got to go to the Ralph while the Nodak Sens players were there. So we're going to do a tour of North Dakota's arena. Classic moment. Ross and I call the tour guide to make sure they're going to be open. And he says, you guys seem familiar. And we're like, oh, we do a podcast. He's like, what one? Locked On Senators. No way. I listen to that all the time. So crazy that there's even citizens in North Dakota. And the guy's name was Dakota. You can't make that up. The tour guide for North Dakota's hockey arena is Dakota. So you're going to remember that one. Absolutely. Everyone, you guys are too kind to me when I'm doing the solo cast. Thank you, Joe Bell. Thank you. Appreciate that. I'm just trying to catch up on all the comments here. Locked On Network private jet. Unfortunately, no, not a private jet. We're doing this on our own dime. We don't mind doing that, though. Heading out to Sens games. Live stream on the tour. I mean, maybe Ross and I can probably find some fun ways to make some more content with both of us being on the road here. So maybe we'll do something like that. Ross and I are very used to doing road trips together. Well, I mean, spending time in the car together, I'll say, because Toronto to Belleville, I wouldn't classify as a legit road trip, but Ross and I would drive 2 hours from Toronto to Belleville, work the Belleville games as part of the video production crew for 3 hours of minimum wage work, and then 2 hour drive back to Toronto after that. So 4 hours of driving for 3 hours of work for the love of the game. We loved working in Belleville. That was absolutely awesome. Eric, thank you. Appreciate it. For jet fuel, $2. That's going to help me out. That's going to get me real far on my plane ride to Winnipeg. Joel Knight says Sue doesn't go to Minnesota. I mean, that's a good call. We should just... This is actually a great idea. I love this comment from Joel Knight. Let's try to get an event. We'll talk to our people over at the GCP, Joel, and we are going to we should pick an away game to go to. Now, obviously, maybe Minnesota's a little far, but like Buffalo, Montreal, Toronto, Detroit, some of those teams, maybe we go to the Glebe Central pub and then from there go all the way to the game. Maybe that's a little bit crazy, but that would be awesome. Yeah. GCP shuttle to all 32 arenas. Let's go from the GCP to the San Jose Sharks arena. That would be wild. That would be an absolute time. Yeah, maybe we'll just get RVs and we'll have a blast. Joel's saying he's in. That's awesome. Ross and I are slowly going to try to tick off most games, most arenas, I should say, most away arenas. We've always talked about this, and we're going to try to make this a thing for all our fans out in British Columbia, Sens fans in Van. I hope you guys are in the chat right now, because this is definitely pertains to you. We really want to do the Vancouver-Seattle trip next time. Maybe hit up, spend a weekend in Whistler doing some snowboarding. I'm a big snowboarder. Ross used to snowboard back in the day. We'll see if he still got it in him. So that would be incredible if we were able to go to Vancouver, because there's a lot of Sens fans there, and we would do some sort of kind of bus tour. And if people want to come along for the journey, we'll do that. So make sure, oh man, perfect timing. Sens fans and band just got here. When we get that schedule, we are going to circle the Seattle and Vancouver game, and we're going out there. We've been talking about it, so we want to do that for sure. Yeah, literally first thing heard say. That's awesome. Sue is the new Dr. Bob. All right, cool. Both, we love Sue and Dr. Bob. Dr. Bob is an absolute legend. Ali Dez, our guy, thank you. Everyone send Pilsy some change for airfare. Thanks, appreciate it. Yeah, so if there's any other places that people think we should do a Sens meetup, like if there's a lot of Sens fan in one spot, get together, let us know. Matthew Hall saying, want to go snowmobiling in the mountains of Revelstoke, BC. Revelstoke, one of my favorite places on earth. So I'd be down. I'm not much of a snowmobiler, but I'll give it a shot. Maybe we would do that if we go to the Calgary game or something that's a little bit closer. Yeah, so these are just some ideas we got cooking up, and we love hearing ideas from you guys. If there's things you want us to cover, if there's things, different content ideas you guys want us to do, let us know. Especially Ross is an absolute content machine. Typically behind the scenes, I'm the one that has to calm Ross down from doing too much content, and we already do lots of content. So definitely, if you have ideas, shoot them over to Ross, and we'll see if it gets the yay or nay from Pilsy here. A little behind the scenes also. Usually Ross is either producing the Postcast or a part of it. He's kind of the tech guy, the graphic designer. I am terrible with computers. So Ross sent me everything I need to set me up for the Postcast. He sent me the music for the graphic we see here. He sent me Danger Flutes, the Wind song, and then that terrible techno Lost song that we all have grown to hate. I didn't even download the Lost song. I swear, I didn't even download it. I downloaded Danger Flutes, and I was like, I don't even want to download the Lost song because I'm not going to have to use it. And look, 4 postcasts later, did the other 2 with the Leams Martian. Shout out Martian. Hopefully he's getting better, feeling better, getting some rest and relaxation. But it's been Danger Flutes the entire time here. Sens fan and band, thank you. Appreciate you. Thanks so much for all the hard work and great content. Hey, we couldn't do this without you guys. 124 of you guys in the chat right now. I wouldn't be grinding like this if the passion wasn't there from all you guys. And we say it all along, and we really mean it. Ross and I started this show, and we continue this show because of the passion of Sens fans. And we know what it's like to be a Sens fan and get zero coverage. And we're like, you know what? This team needs better coverage. Why not us? Let's do the coverage we want to see this team have. So that's what we're doing, and we're trying to have some fun along the way. Joel says, Pilsy, not a tech guy or a doctor. Come on. Sorry. Yeah, not a tech guy, not a doctor, not a math guy. I don't have a lot of skills, to be honest. I just love talking to Ottawa Senators, and somehow I've managed to turn that into a podcasting career. So that's worked out for me. Eric says the People's Pod. That's what we try to do. We're trying to be the People's Pod. That is an ultimate compliment. When we were in school at the College of Sports Media, our professors would say, look, the stats in the media and the people in suits, they're all out there. The new wave is you want to be able to speak clear, concise, conversational. Shout out to Hugh Burrell. That's his words there. Stuck with me there. And you want it to feel like you're a group of people all sitting at the bar, sharing a beer, chalking up the game. That's what we're trying to do here. So absolutely. Jared says farmer Pilsy. Yes, that is true. I am a chicken farmer. Doesn't mean I'm good at it, but you don't have to have that many skills to pick up dead chickens and scoop chicken poop, luckily. So I've been able to do that here. Normally, feel like I have to do the same with the Ottawa Senators, but not lately, as they've won 4 straight games, and I've got to do solo casts, have been vibe casts, and everyone in the chat has been absolutely buzzing. So I appreciate everyone. I appreciate everyone that is here right now. Pilsy knows propane and propane accessories. Not sure about that. I would not call myself, what do you call it, a pyrotechnician. Definitely not an expert in that field as well. Jack of all trades, master of none. Maybe that's a better way to describe me. Jackson. Okay, here's a question we haven't had in a while. Jackson Reppy says, how did you guys become Sens fans? You live far from Ottawa. Fair point. Ross lives in Winnipeg, and I'm up in the Blue Mountains in Collingwood. Ross is born and raised in Ottawa. He was born to be an Ottawa Senators fan, born in 1992. The guy lives, breathes, and dies for the Ottawa Senators. If you have any question about the Sens, Ross's brain is like a Sens encyclopedia. He'll have it ready for you. The guy is a diehard Sens fan. And I started becoming a Sens fan in 2006 when Dominic Hasek arrived. I'll be honest, I was a bandwagon fan. I started my hockey interest started in 1999. I was watching the Stanley Cup Finals, and I was like, damn, this Hasek guy is awesome. I'm a Hasek fan. Therefore, I hate to admit it, but I was a Buffalo Sabres fan to start because Dominic Hasek was there. He went to Detroit, maybe just as gross or grosser, became a Detroit fan, and then he came to Ottawa. And even though he was only there for 1 year, we all know how that went. Don't need to talk about that. Even after he moved on, I was like, nope. I live in Ontario. I hate the Leafs. I hate Leafs fans. I'm surrounded by Leafs fans. They're the worst. Can't stand them. Wasn't the kind of guy that was going to go over to the Habs either. Not really my cup of tea. So I landed in Ottawa. And since 2006, I have been an Ottawa Senators fan. So for people that maybe are new to the show, there's the origin story for both of us. Yeah, Carrot, no worries. Not a Leafs fan. I mean, if Dominic Hasek went to the Leafs, unfortunately, I probably would have ended up a Leafs fan for a hot minute. Actually, no, probably not. I have vivid, strong memories of growing up, being a kid, and having Leafs fans all around me and being like, that ain't it. Miss me with the blue and white here. So I think that's when it really stuck in that I was supposed to be an Ottawa Senators fan. Jared saying Sask fan here. Alfie Spezza Heatley beat down the Islanders was my start at Sens fandom. Love that. Jared, we got to get you on as a Sens Central citizen to tell the entire story. A lot of people in the chat have been Sens Central citizens. That's the way that we love bringing people onto the show. If you're new to the show, it's a segment where we invite fans of the show on, and you can tell us how you became a Sens fan, some of your favorite Sens memories. Usually we pick your brain about how the team's doing now and whatever kind of fun stories you have. The best Sens Central citizens are the ones that come prepared and they have like props on their desk to show us. Or we love doing international Ottawa Senators fans. We've had Sens Central citizens from Australia. Shout out all our Aussie fans. They're absolute beauties. It's nuts following this team in Australia. I don't even know what the time difference is. I'm not a time zone guy either. Where else? Korea. Lots of Sens fans in Britain. I think a couple in Czech Republic. So definitely a bunch in the States. So we've had Sens fans from all over on the show. So that's always a lot of fun to hear their stories of how they became Sens fans and how the heck they're still following this team. If you want to follow this team, you got to follow along with the Locked On Senators podcast, where your team every day. I feel like I've really went on a long tangent here, but the chat's been buzzing. I love interacting with the chat. It helps me when I'm doing the solo cast and I've run out of things to say about a 2-0 game where both goals were scored in the first period, and that was kind of it. So this has been awesome. Guys, we should do a LOSP mailbag soon, so you guys can get all your questions in, and we can answer them, maybe get Ross's opinion on them. And it doesn't just have to be Sens or even hockey related. Ross and I love messing around and talking about other things as well. We've got into some great debates. Some of the great Locked On Senators podcast debates is ranking your top 5 fruit. That was a big one. Word of the days have gotten contentious. Ross usually gets those. I'm apparently not a dictionary guy either, so you can add that one to the list. One day we need someone to compile a whole list of things that I say I'm not a blank guy of. I think it'd be a huge, extensive list. Maybe I'll put that on my resume as a warning sign for people hiring me. Can't do this, can't do that, won't do that. But yeah, we love doing the mailbags as well. So thank you, everyone. 131 of you in the chat here. I'm going too long. I said this was going to be a short one. You guys have kept me here 41 minutes. Love it, though. Love hanging out with all of you guys. we say it all the time. The Sens may be an absolute garbage team, but Sens fans and the Sens community are best in class. All right. The Ottawa Senators win 2-0 up against the Chicago Blackhawks. Their 4th straight win. Anton Forsberg gets the shutout. And as I mentioned to you guys, I only got one song loaded here to go into the show and to go out of the show. It's Danger Flutes, the song we all know and love. So why don't we hear that one more time? For myself, Brandon Pillar, for everyone in the chat, you guys are awesome. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for tuning in to another solo cast, a Pillsy Vibe cast. Wouldn't be the same without all you guys. It's been another edition of the Postcast presented by the Glebe Central Pub. We will have another episode for you tomorrow. Whether you watch us on YouTube, you got us on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, you can find that Locked On Senators podcast in your feed tomorrow, because we take it very seriously here. And let's get some Go Sens Go in the chat. And it's the Locked On Senators podcast. It's your team every day.